Hello everybody. Today I'm back with Chits and Cats, and today I want to do an unboxing for a game that I pre-ordered from GMT last year, and I've had it in my drawer for about 8 weeks, but I haven't had time to look at it. But in keeping with my wish to play themed games, so I did the Vietnam, Southeast Asia conflicts last year. I'm trying to do something around World War One this year. Here I've got 1914, Offensive à Outrance, which is the beginning, which maps the beginning of the First World War, when Germany sent her troops through Belgium and northern France in order to take France, in order to avoid a two-front war, because at the same time, of course, they were fighting in the east. So as you can see, this is still in shrink wrap. It's a GMT game. I'm just going to show you this back here. It is soloable, as you can see here, but it's also the complexity is medium. So you can play this with between 1 and 4 players, and each turn lasts 2 to 4 days. And the units, for those people who want to know, are division level within independent brigades, and 1 hex on the map corresponds to 8 kilometers. So let's just see what's in the box. As you can see, it's actually quite a hefty box. It's quite heavy. I think it's got more than 1,000 counters, I read somewhere, so we'll see. I may actually not be able to fit all of the maps on my quite substantially big gaming table, so we'll see how that works. So I don't know if you can see the cover art. It's more of an impressionist picture of French troops repelling a couple of German soldiers. As you can see, the French are advancing, so it's the first thing we find, of course, is the welcome card from GMT, and I really love that they put it in there, and it's always signed by somebody, so it is an actual person who put this in there. It's not just somebody, you know, they don't just print them off and stick them in. But Yelena, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, put this pack together for me. Thank you very much. We're greeted by 1 6-sided die. Quite a substantial rule book that clocks in at 40 pages, black and white. Oh yeah, this is actually an unexpected sight, because this is a Scottish soldier wearing a kilt, as you can see, so he must have been from the British Expeditionary Forces. The layout is your usual 2-column layout, and from what I can see is it looks quite appealing. I can't tell you why, but it doesn't look very daunting at all. Here we have the game turn record track. It's a 1A4 glossy color printed piece of paper with information. For example, on game turn 1 and 2, you can't abandon the strat plans. I assume that's strategic plans. You cannot do a forced march on a certain day. On GT7, it says voluntary British base transfer, and then it says 2311. I assume that if I were to look it up in the rulebook, I would get something like 23 1-1, yeah, and sure enough, 23 reads British Special Rules. So this is something that I really like. I saw something similar, although much less complex, with Red Winter, where a lot of the stuff that you need to do and that you need to know for your game can be found on the turn track. So you don't have to remember, oh yeah, on this turn I need to check in some book what I have to do, but it actually tells you on the turn track, which I really like very much. It wasn't the case, for example, in country Vietnam, where you really have to reference the rule book all the time to see what you have to do on particular turns. Here we have a double-sided, well, 2 A4s put together. That's your charts. Here you have your normal terrain effects chart. This is something that we would all be familiar with. You have your different descriptions of the different types of terrain here and what they do. On the back you have the movement point summary chart. So for example, in order to enter or exit an enemy zone of control, in order to enter, your movement cost is +2. If you want to leave, it's +1. Activity distances. A unit starting this activity must be at least this far from nearest enemy unit. So if you want to recover combat effectiveness, for example, on game turns 1 through 18, you have to be 3 hexes away from them, or 2 hexes if all intervening hexes are occupied by friendly units in an IP, or adjacent if occupying at level 2 IP. So I'll have to find out what IP means. I don't think I've ever come across this abbreviation before. Now, oh, this looks interesting. Oh god. Combat results table. Okay. Basically here you have your normal ratios of, let's say, 4:1, and then you roll a die. You obviously roll only one 6-sided die, and then you have different pieces of information in here. And I don't want to show too much because I'm not sure if this breaches copyright. Combat intensity matrix. The attacker can be not intense or intense. And then the defender can be not intense or intense. If both of them are intense, then you have intense combat. So that's interesting. I haven't come across that either. So yeah, there is quite a lot in there that I will have to read up on. Okay, so basically you have this chart 1, 2, 4 times, because obviously you can play with up to 4 people, so that's really nice that each one of them gets their own. Oh, okay, now we have the counters. Ooh. Oh, and a second 6-sided die. Okay, so here we go. Quite hefty. Here we have the Allied counter sheet 1. And they're double-sided. From what I can see, is the die cut is excellent. Allied counter sheet part 2, front and back. German counter sheet 1, front and again back. German counter sheet 2, front and back. Oh, we have markers. Marker sheet 1, 2 and 3. So, yeah, well, just briefly, that's going to be interesting. I think I may need actually 3 trays for this. This looks quite substantial. And then we have a small half counter sheet with double-sized counters like Niederlande, Belgian, Italian, British Expeditionary Forces, BEF, Dutch Army, 7th Metz, 10th Alsace, Strasbourg, Armeegruppe Belgien, Detachement d'Armée, sorry. So yeah. Then we have these, whatever they are. This is Alsace sheet 1, AG Belgium, 7th Army, 5th Army Belgium. So this is going to be interesting because I don't know what this actually is, but I will find out, I'm sure. So as you can see, plenty of counters and plenty of stuff. Oh yeah, this seems to be resources and where you have your troops and okay. And now, oh, we have more dice yet. 2 additional 6-sided dice. Your baggies. And now we come to the heart. Well, one of the hearts of the game, of any game, and that is the maps. Here we have the West map. Which is the area around Paris up to Calais, Dunkirk, Rouen, and down there to Troyes. So, and Orléans is also on the map. Orléans, by the way, is a beautiful city. If you ever get to visit it, it's really nice. Lovely place. Then we have the South map, which comprises Dijon, die Schweiz, Saarbrücken, Neunkirchen, so that's Saarland, Metz, Nancy, Strasbourg, by the way, also a very beautiful city. I can really recommend a trip there. Mühlhausen, and oh, by the way, the maps are all one-sided, so you don't have to turn them over. And then I suppose that this must then be the East map. Oops. Oh dear. Okay, yeah, that is the East map. Antwerpen, Leuven. Here, the Netherlands up here, Nederland. So this is parts of Belgium, the Belgian area. The Meuse, Brussels, Verdun. Yeah. So basically those maps would overlap. Because down here you also have Metz and Saarbrücken, which you also have on the other map. So you would probably put them down overlapping each other. And last but not least, we have the playbook. Which clocks in at 28 pages. So I'll have my work cut out for this, obviously. It says, I read somewhere that if you play with 4 people, you can play the whole campaign in 10 days. I'm one person, so I assume it would take me 40 days, and I don't know how many hours they put in a day, but if it's 8 hours by 40, then you can imagine this is going to take me the better part of this year, because obviously I cannot play every day. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start reading the manual. Read the fucking manual. Oh, I said the F word, sorry. And I will punch the counters and yeah, put out the maps, you know, plexiglass them all, because I really always use plexiglass when I play. Yeah, and then tomorrow I'm off, so I may actually put down a couple of units tomorrow and see where this takes me. Like I said, I was going to do some stuff on the First World War this year. You might want to check out the latest Chits and Cats and Chats podcast by Kevin, where we also discussed the First World War a little. Here in Europe, obviously there is quite a lot going on. The BBC is showing a series of documentaries. There are a lot of commemoration activities and events across Europe, largely, of course, in Britain and France and Belgium. And I was asked, and this is why I'm also mentioning this now, I was asked by somebody, because being German, that they had the feeling that the First World War didn't really have, you know, much resonance in Germany, and why that was. And I believe the reason is that the First World War was, of course, a tragedy. Millions of people died. I mean, trench warfare. We all know this. In the East, in the West, we had the Anzacs, being slaughtered in Gallipoli. It was a horrific war. But I believe that in Germany, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. But even before that, basically, the Second World War and all that entailed had pretty much completely eclipsed the First World War in the schools and history classes. Well, you would discuss the First World War, but it's not so much that you discuss the war, but you kind of look at the political situation and how it basically then came to pass and what the aftermath was. You don't really discuss the war itself. You don't discuss, okay, there was a battle here, there was a battle there, blah, blah, blah. All of this isn't really discussed in school. It's more the political reasons, backgrounds, and then also what happened afterwards. I mean, for Germany, one of the main results was, of course, that the whole political system was overthrown. The emperor was ousted, and a real republic, the Weimarer Republic, was installed. So the whole system of government changed. And then, of course, there were political forces that felt that Germany had lost the war, not so much because everybody else had been such a strong opponent, but because there were forces inside of Germany which had basically destroyed the German war effort from within, the so-called backstabbing or Dolchstoßlegende, which was then later on also used by Hitler to, say, well, we need to rise again, we need to come back from the brink, we need to re-establish ourselves as a military society, and we need to wash away the indignity of losing in the First World War, which wasn't because everybody else was such a formidable opponent, but because we had forces within Germany that destroyed the German military forces from within, and so I think, and we all know what happened. I mean, between 1918 and 1933, the world had a major economic crisis, the Depression, which led to quite a lot of problems everywhere, and which made it easier for radical forces like the Nazis and also the radical communists as well, to gain ground. And then the Nazis were successful, and we all know what happened afterwards. So I believe the reason why the First World War doesn't play as big a role in Germany as it does definitely in Britain, for example, is simply because it's more seen as a precursor to the Second World War, which far outstripped the horrors of the First World War in magnitude, in extent, area covered, civilians murdered. I mean, the Holocaust as well, which is a very, very important part, which of course is highly discussed and remembered. So I believe the reason why we probably don't remember the First World War as much is because we tend to remember more the Second World War and what happened then. And this, I mean, living in Ireland has also kind of given me a different insight into the whole discussion around should there be commemorations in a united Europe? Because what does this mean if the then victors basically commemorate this war in which they defeated Germany and so on and so forth, and then Austria had its say, saying, well, you shouldn't blame the Austro-Hungarian monarchy too much because there would have been a war anyway, regardless of whether the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne had been killed in Serbia or not. So there are quite a lot of discussions going on in Europe at the moment, So basically, I believe that it is important to not forget one thing, and that is that war should never happen if we can avoid it. So at the moment, I'm a bit unhappy about how politicized it's getting. Well, I believe we should actually commemorate the millions of people who have died and try and make sure that we understand if there was a cause or if there was a number of causes, what we can do in order for it not to happen again. And so yeah, this is an answer to the couple of PMs that I've been getting recently. So why is there no commemoration in Germany? There is commemoration obviously, but I think it's much less at the forefront of the German psyche, if you will, than it is, for example, in Britain. Okay, so like I said, 1914, Offensive à Outrance. We'll see how far I get with this game. I'm really looking forward to it, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing, and I'll keep you posted with my progress. So, bye.